Mr. Lachance, go ahead.
Chairman Grassley, Ranking Member Feinstein, and members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. My name is Hunter Lachance. I live in Kennebunkport, Maine, and I'm a sophomore at Kennebunk High School. I'm 15 years old, and I suffer from asthma. I live in a state that has some of the highest rates of asthma in the country. According to the Maine Center for Disease Control, nearly 12% of adults in our state have asthma, compared with 9% nationally. Maine children also suffer from a higher rate of asthma than the national average. I am one of those statistics. Despite Maine's many beauties, it has worse air quality than most people realize. Because Maine sits at the end of America's tailpipe, air pollution from upwind states is carried into Maine by the prevailing winds. Air pollution makes life extremely difficult for those of us with asthma and makes it harder for me to breathe. For me to live a healthy life, air pollution needs to decrease, not increase. I'm concerned that the Supreme Court could make major decisions in the next few years that will cause air pollution in Maine to increase if Judge Kavanaugh is confirmed. Many people in this room may have asthma or know someone who does, so what I'm about to describe to you may be familiar. Here is a coffee stirrer. If you have one, I encourage you to put it to your mouth and try breathing through it. Now imagine only being able to breathe through this sized hole for an hour, or a day, or even a week. This is what it's been like during an asthmatic attack. Unfortunately, I'm not alone in having asthma impact my life. Asthma affects nearly 25 million Americans, including over 6 million children. 2 million people go to the emergency rooms each year because of asthma. I'm here today because my future and my health may depend on it. I'm just your everyday kid from Maine. I play sports, like to swim, and love playing in the snow. But my active life changed when I was diagnosed with asthma at the age of 10. Suddenly, everything became more difficult. I was sidelined from sports, began missing school, and my parents constantly worried about my health. The year after I was diagnosed, I missed close to a quarter of the school year. I can vividly remember times when my asthma attacks were so strong and scary that I was removed from class by my teachers and sent to the nurse's office. Most of the time, the nurse sent me home or asked my parents to get medical attention. I remember one really bad attack when I was homesick for 3 straight weeks. Asthma is a leading reason why kids miss school and has directly impacted my ability to learn from my teachers and spend time with my friends. Although air pollution doesn't cause asthma, it triggers attacks. On ozone alert days, people across the country have trouble breathing, and this should worry everyone. It worries me. In Maine, we need strong federal regulations on air pollution because pollution doesn't stop at state borders. If states upwind from Maine are allowed to pollute more because federal regulations are weakened, then that's bad for me. It's bad for Mainers, and it's bad for anyone in America with a respiratory disease or asthma. That's why I'm here. I'm deeply concerned that if Judge Kavanaugh is on the Supreme Court, he would vote to weaken laws that protect my health, because he already has. In a 2012 ruling, he rejected the cross-state air pollution rule based on the Clean Air Act's Good Neighbor provision, which regulates air that crosses state lines. According to the EPA, this rule reduces sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide pollutants and will prevent 34,000 premature deaths. During his time on the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, Mr. Kavanaugh has repeatedly struck down other Clean Air Act protections. This worries me a lot because clean air is a life or death issue for so many people like me. We need a Supreme Court that will protect clean air because lives depend on it. We also need a Supreme Court that will uphold the protections to address climate change because my generation's future depends on it. For me, climate change means that life will be even more difficult, with more ozone alert days, more dust and soot in the air from forest fires, and more mold due to extreme weather and flooding. Here's my coffee stirrer again. Next time you have the chance, pick one up and try breathing through it, and see how long you can last. This is what it feels like to suffer through asthma. If the Supreme Court fails to protect clean air, then it's failing to protect me and millions of other Americans. Please don't confirm someone for the Supreme Court with a record like Judge Kavanaugh's, a record that could mean more air pollution, more asthma attacks, and more premature deaths for the millions of Americans unfortunate enough to be afflicted with asthma like me. Thank you for letting me testify today.
Thank you, Mr. Lachance.